Hey guys, today's topic is the CAE multiple matching listening task. And this is a big one, so take a seat, chill out. I'm going to review what the task is and then tell you some things you need to be ready for and then give you some tips on how to master this beast of a task. Also, this video was a request, so you know who you are. Thank you for that. And if you guys ever have any videos you want me to do, comment below, let a bro know. Okay? Okay, part 1, a simple description. You're going to hear 5 different speakers give 5 different little monologues, but they're all talking about a similar topic. For example, they could all be talking about work or their jobs. You actually have to do 2 tasks at the same time. So let's look at an example. That way, as I explain it, it will make more sense. Okay? Okay, so here we have the multiple matching task on paper. On the left side, you've got task 1. And your task is the reason each person chose their university. Why did they go there? Simple enough, but notice that you do have more choices than questions. You have 5 questions, but 8 choices. You'll have 3 you won't use. On the right side, you've got task 2, what each speaker found the hardest about their first year. Same thing, below you've got 5 questions, 8 answers. A good test will never give you the same amount of choices as questions. That would be too easy, then you could just keep marking them out until you had none left. So testing 101, be ready for more answer choices than necessary. So when you do this task, you'll hear speaker 1. But you have to answer questions 21 and 26. Both of these questions refer to speaker 1. Why did he or she choose their university? Question 21. But at the same time, what was the hardest thing about their first year? And this is question 26. That's why it's called the multiple matching, just because you're doing multiple things at one time. It's a unique task, but you really need to be prepared for this one. You need to know like what you're walking into. Otherwise, it can be very confusing. Okay, but here we go, part 2, some things you need to prepare for. Number 1. Accents. This listening task uses accents against you. You gotta be ready to listen to a lot of different types of English accents. You have 5 speakers, so potentially you could have 5 different accents. One speaker could have a British accent.
Because he's telling me, he's like, you know, like, I miss you or whatever.
The next could have a thicker British accent.
You never will be on my level.
The next one could have an Australian accent, could have an American accent, could have a Scottish or Irish accent. I think this task, more than any other listening task on the CAE, you're gonna hear some Scottish or Irish, and these are very difficult accents to understand, even for me.
Now, there's a wee burgundy hingmajig on the dash. Get a wee tug. No!
I'm like, girl, what are you saying? Like, what? Huh? So just kind of like listen to some Scottish or Irish accents before you take this test, just so you'll kind of, you know, be ready for that. They predominantly use the British accents here, but you know, they do throw in some other ones too. And number 2, vocabulary. Vocabulary is a definite issue on this task. And I'm not talking about academic vocabulary. You hear a lot of that for tasks 1 and 2 in the listening section. Just the multiple choice. But for this one, people are generally talking about their daily lives. So you're gonna hear a lot of phrasal verbs and idioms. Stuff like this. Working at my old company was quite a challenge, but at my new company, I'm always on the same wavelength as my colleagues. Okay, my British accent's really bad. I'm just gonna do that again. Working at my old company was quite a challenge. But at my new company, I'm always on the same wavelength as my colleagues. So here you have the idiom on the same wavelength, which means to think in a similar way as another person. Studying idioms will really help for this section, but also, surprisingly, the keyword transformations as well. I'll put a link below to some places where you can find some lists of these. And then we have part 3, tip time. I know, you were waiting. Number 1, reading the answer choices in the time you're given. Before the speakers start talking, they give you, I think it's like 45 seconds or a minute to read over the answer choices on the paper. Make sure you are ready to do this and you take that time to carefully read and take in all of those answer choices. Sometimes students who aren't prepared for this test, when they get to the listening section, the CD will say, you have 45 seconds to read your answer choices. And students are like, wait, what? What are we doing? What are we doing? What's going on? But you should already know you've got time to read, so you can use that time to prepare yourself. Number 2, and this is the big one. Listen for synonyms. And this is not just a tip for this task, but any listening task in general. Listen, 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 always, always, always for synonyms or synonymous phrases. So let's go to our example. I'm listening to a speaker talk about why he or she chose their university. This person starts saying, I also found the variety of classes to choose from quite attractive. If you look at your answer sheet, H says a range of courses on offer. Okay, these two statements are the same thing. They're just worded differently, but same meaning. So this is quite possibly your correct answer. Listen for synonyms. The correct answer will almost always come in the form of a synonym or a synonymous phrase. Which brings me to tip number 3. Be careful of distractors. Be careful of the same words. Trick, as I call it. This is a hard test and they are constantly trying to trick you. Like, they want you to choose the wrong answer. Those bitches. If you see family pressure as a choice and you hear the words family pressure by a speaker, it's probably a trick. It's probably the wrong answer. Because think about what's happening here. They're testing, can you listen to context? Can you take a whole excerpt and understand the meaning from the whole excerpt? They're not testing, can you hear the same word as you see? That's actually a very simple task, and people who are learning English at much lower levels, they can do that. They can hear family pressure and see family pressure and make that connection. Plus, the CAE already has a same words task, task 3, where you have to, listen for the same words, okay? So this task, that's not what they're doing. If you hear the same words that you see, it is like probably a trick, so don't fall for it. Okay, tip 4, only going to 5. Also kind of related to tip 3. Wait until the end of the excerpt to choose your final answer. If you look at the person's excerpt or little monologue on paper, like this part is also related to the distractors that they will try and trick you with. For every answer, there's a distractor. If you look at speaker 2, in the second line, we read, I was away from home during the week with a whole new group of people who I would have to get to know. As a problem or something that was hard, this sounds a lot like B, getting on with fellow students or getting along with fellow students. And if you answer too quickly, then you might pick this. But you have to listen to the next sentence, which says, strangely though, what threw me most was figuring out where to do my assignments. If something throws you off, then it might confuse you or surprise you. And then down at the bottom, same thing for why this person chose the university. Choosing a university was straightforward actually. Since I'm studying history, I thought a brand new campus wouldn't feel right. Well, on our answer sheet, we see over here a modern facility, which matches a brand new campus. But again, if we answer too quickly, we'll choose that, but it's wrong. Because in the next sentence, I wanted to gaze at ancient spires and towers on my way to lectures. That won, hands down, in the end, against studying with one of my former classmates. The brand new campus was the distractor, even though as a synonym it matched one of the choices. The actual answer came after the distractor, but you'd have to listen closely to get that. So yeah, basically for tip 5, just kind of wait a little bit because you're always going to hear the distractor first and then the real answer. And finally, tip 5, you listen to the excerpts twice. All listening tasks on the CAE, you get to listen twice. Yay! Perfect. For the multiple matching, or this task, some students will just do task 1 the first time around, and then they'll do task 2 the second time around. This is actually not recommended. It's recommended that you do both tasks at the same time, like the directions say. I agree with this just from like a probability point of view, because if you split up your tasks, you know, the first time you listen, you just do task 1, the second time you listen, you just do task 2, then technically you're only giving yourself one time to answer each question. But if you do the tasks at the same time, if I'm doing 21 and 26 at the same time, then technically I'm giving myself 2 times to find the correct answer. And that increases your chance of hearing the right answer. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah. I recommend, you know, sticking with the directions and do task 1 and task 2 at the same time. Don't split them up, because then you're only giving yourself 1 time to listen for each task. Okay, good luck on that one. That's a hard one. But if you go to examenglish.com and then to the CAE listening section, they do have some practice tasks for this task. So you can go over there to practice. The website is a little finicky, so try it on your computer. I wouldn't try it on a phone, yeah. Alright, good luck. Thanks for the request. I will see you guys next time. Keep studying and peace.